bargaining helps our kids. So I'm voting yes for collective bargaining.
Seen the news of the Chicago teacher strike? Proposal 2 would open the door to that here in Michigan.
If politicians take collective bargaining away, nurses who speak up for their patients could be fired.
All these special interests want their own thing in the Constitution.
I don't trust any of these proposals. Every time I vote for one of these, I end up regretting it.
I'm voting no on all of them.
No doubt you've seen the ads, some in favor of the proposal, some against Proposal 2, both sides blaming the other for misleading the public. What's really at stake this November? Welcome back to Let It Rip. On the panel right now, he's the owner and president of Bowens & Company, public relations firm. He's also an activist and a spokesman for several local unions. Greg Bowens is here. Next to him, a former state lawmaker turned businessman, a local leader of the Republican Party, Andrew Rocky Rutschkowski, ready to rumble tonight. And for the first time, we welcome Sam Morgan, a trial lawyer whose practice focuses on employment rights and business disputes. He's here with what he calls an unbiased look at Proposal 2. And of course, you all know Charlie, so let's get started. Greg Bowens, the goal of Proposal 2 is to enshrine collective bargaining rights into the state constitution. Now, does that save jobs or does that destroy the economy?
It actually preserves what I think is really important when it comes to our nurses, to our firefighters, to the people that we depend on the most to be able to come together and actually bargain collectively. It's one thing for me as an individual to try and negotiate a job salary or something like that with a small company. It's another thing when you're up against a big multinational company or the whole state, the state government. And what's also important about this is that I think that we take it for granted that we can actually collectively bargain. You know, I mean, most people think that it's already a right, but it's not enshrined in law. And so in the very same way with the Constitution of the United States, where we said we have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, got enshrined in our Constitution, this should be enshrined in our state constitution. You know, it's a very odd time that we live in where things that we take for granted are no longer things that we can take for granted. Same thing with the emergency manager law. Everybody thinks that you can vote for whoever you want. Who knew that the state could come in and wipe out your mayor and your city council? Now that can happen.
Well, but Rocky, you know, you are a former state lawmaker. You have a pension.
No, I do not.
You don't? You opted out of it.
Yes,
but many of your colleagues do.
Former colleagues.
Absolutely.
We moved to defined contribution when I was a state legislator.
But you can understand why working men and women who punch the clock every day want the same kind of protections that some of our politicians have.
No, I agree. And this is not an attack on unions by voting no on Proposal 2. What this is a preservation of a lot of state laws that this is going to eliminate. For example, Michigan Capital Confidential did a review of the Bay City School District. In the Bay City School District contract of teachers, it specifically said that a teacher that sold drugs in their classroom, sold drugs to their students in their classroom, would be suspended for only 3 days, and they would not be fired unless they were caught 5 times drinking on the job or caught using drugs 3 times in the classroom. Now, what passage of Proposal 2 would do would be eliminate the laws that prevent this. And if a bargaining unit agreed to something like this with their superintendent, this would become the law. This would become the law. And there's a memo from the MEA, and I have it here with me, that basically was leaked out. This is a memo that was passed out to all the bargaining units and the presidents of all the unions, basically telling them all the laws that this would eliminate. And if you saw that commercial when you started off this segment, if you like what happened in Chicago, you're going to love Proposal 2.
So are we going to get more strikes, Greg?
Would you get more strikes? No. You know, this is like the boogeyman stuff that's going on. There's nothing wrong with what happened with the teachers in Chicago. They wanted to stand up and fight for their rights. They didn't feel like they were getting treated fairly. If you can't express your disagreement with your employer or with the state in a peaceful manner, then what are you supposed to be able to do?
Greg,
now this whole
there's no issue.
There's no. You're talking
you can
about
peacefully disagree.
You're talking about, well, you suggest with that commercial that somehow striking is wrong. And as a person who participated in the Detroit News strike years ago, I can tell you that it's not fun, it's not pleasant, nobody wants to do it. And you were a member of the military.
The proposal.
Sam, let's get Sam.
Nobody
there are
likes to fight,
always
but somebody has to know
unintended
how.
consequences with everything we do. So how do you see this issue?
Well, first off, the proposal has specific language in it that says that the legislature will be able to pass laws that prevent public employees from going on strike. So the proposal has a specific provision in it to prevent the type of strikes that Rocky's talking about. Really, what this proposal is trying to do is it's a reaction to the last 8 to 10 years in our state legislature where you have a small but very persistent anti-union movement in the legislature that has been passing laws leading up to what we've seen in Wisconsin and what we've seen in Indiana to pass right-to-work laws. If you have a constitutional amendment that says collective bargaining is a constitutional right, then a law that interferes with collective bargaining, such as a right-to-work law, will be unconstitutional and unenforceable. So that's what this is about. This is a reaction to the movement to bring right to work to Michigan.
Do you foresee a decrease in business activity should this proposal pass? Do you think fewer businesses will want to move to Michigan if they see that this is part of the Constitution?
I don't think so. You will, of course. You ask the lawyer. It won't. It's just going, you have collective bargaining in the state already. Public employees have the right by law to collectively bargain.
So why do we even need it?
Exactly. And the issue again is it states right here by the union leadership in a memo that specifically says that this will eliminate fair hours.
But teachers in every district are not going to sell drugs and be governed by that.
That's a phony piece of paper that he's passing it around.
This is from the teachers union.
I could have made it's like ridiculous.
You say it's ridiculous, but it's in a contract.
Charlie Langton has the floor.
If you vote no on Proposal 2, you can still have unions in this state.
Sure.
What Proposal 2 really does is preserves pension rights. And there may be, in this world, we may want to undo pensions. And if Proposal 2 passes, as I read the language, it's going to be very difficult to undo pensions, for example. And pensions, we are seeing, are not good for the state of Michigan. They're a drain on the city of Detroit.
Forget the pension discussion. It's also going to eliminate.
The third bullet point in the proposal is to protect wages and those provisions. Lansing doesn't think.
You've had your chance to
vote again.
Let's hear what the people are saying. What about you out there? My colleague Monica Gale in the newsroom now looking at your feedback from our Facebook page. Monica, what are they saying?
Yeah, Huel, quite a bit of talk tonight about the confusion over Prop 2. Eugene says, I think this proposal is worded badly. I'm in a union, but I think collective bargaining slows down contracts between unions and companies. I feel that as it's worded now, I would vote no because it would negate what's in place right now. Julie writes, I wish the ads against Prop 2 would stop using scare tactics. What intelligent person would believe that unions would hire sex offenders and drug dealers to educate our children? Come on, people, use common sense. And Stephen says, union membership is fine if that's what you choose, but it does not belong in the Constitution. Huel?
All right, Monica, thank you. One quick answer from all of you, yay or nay?
On winning?
On Proposal 2.
Proposal 2 is going to pass.
Yes.
No on 2, 3, and 4. Yes on 1, 5, and 6.
On 6, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's a real tight race. I do think that with the advertisements, you've got scare tactics out there that I believe may carry the day.
So maybe, though, it needs to be rewritten and maybe in another way, in another version?
Perhaps, you know, when they write these proposals, you know, we've got 6 proposals on the ballot, and number 1 and number 2 kind of interrelate, and they didn't know which one was going to survive the Supreme Court rulings.
Exactly. All right, gentlemen, thank you. We appreciate your comments.